So, episode 4 of God Eater had a pretty messed up ending, but overall, to me, it was actually pretty good. So, we see now that in another flashback, we have our three leaders here, back then when they were scientists, we have them now working on this report, and we see now that they know that if they send this in, then this right here will get them shut down. So I'm thinking that, right now in a flashback, it must be right after we saw the Oracle Cell react and, and try to attack them. But now we see now that in present time, we have Linka and Alisa. They were now being welcomed by the East Branch leader, and we see now that, these two were going to join the unit right away. And we even see now that because of Linka's actions, his former charges will now be dropped. So that right there is a very good thing. And we do learn that, that these two will now be on the same unit with Lando, Soma, and Sakia, and we even see now that Kota. Now, I do believe that this right here is the boy from episode 1 that Linka had befriended. But the thing is, though, for some reason, I cannot remember him at all. So at first, I was like so confused about who this guy was. But obviously, when Linka recognized him, it's obvious who he was. And not to mention that, once again, he was rather useless in the episode. And that right there definitely, reminded me of who he was. But now we see that with all of them on the same unit, obviously, Unit 1 definitely got a lot more powerful. Now, I do wonder if Kota is also using a new type of God Eater, because obviously, Alisa and Linka, these two are definitely, way ahead of him. So I feel like if Kota had one, to me personally, I feel like he would be undeserving of it. But now we see that with them now joining a unit, they have the day off, and we see that Kota here, he had wanted to go out and check the city, but we have Alisa pretty much being a bitch in the entire episode, and we see her now just walking away. And Linka here had even wanted to train, but somehow Kota was able to convince him to come along, and we see them now going to the living area, and we see now Kota returns home after it seemed like a very long time, because we see that when he bought his mother a present, and when she found out that he was now a God Eater, she was in such shock because she could not believe it. So it seemed like she had no idea what exactly Kota was doing. But I do wonder, if Kota was not going home like that, I wonder what in the world did she think that he was doing. But we see now that even though she was worried for her son, she was not trying to convince him to quit being a God Eater. She just told him to return home safely. And we see now that when they were walking around, we see that once again, or we get a much closer look of the battlefield that took place in episode 1, and so we see now that the people that were living there, those survivors, they are now forced, to live in tents. And then we see, or we get more info on the thing called the Aegis project, or Aegis project. Not really sure what the correct way to pronounce that, but we see now that this project is to make this island into a shelter that can fit all of humanity. And I did wonder, if they got this city right here, that seems pretty well defended for most of the time, because even though they got attacked once, I'm pretty sure that if they up the defense, that they can fit, they can fit all of humanity in there. Because right now, that city or village, whatever you want to call it, it does seem pretty big, and obviously, most of humanity definitely got wiped out, as you can tell from when our characters go outside. But we see that, this project, it can only be completed, with God Eaters, because they are using, the cores of the origami to build it. So right now, God Eaters have a very important job to do. And then we see that when Kota said that the origami cannot attack it, and we have Linka thinking about that huge beast that we saw, last week. Obviously, that right there might not be true, but at least we do learn at least that origami can swim. But obviously, they can still be attacked by the flying ones. So obviously, they will have to build some countermeasures into that. But now we see that, you know, our new Unit 1, they now have a new job to do where they'll like break up into 2-man cells, and they will take out a certain origami and steal, you know, their cores. And we have Sakuya, Linka, we have Lendo and Alisa, and we have Soma and Kota. And at first I thought this here was like going to go so well because we see, you know, Sakuya and Linka, like these two were actually in sync, and they work so well together. But then we have Alisa, you know, acting on her own for the most part, and my boy Lendo cannot do anything. And then we have someone who like kind of addicted to Kota, but to me, I found that hilarious. But we see, you know, once again Kota being useless, and he almost got killed if it wasn't for Soma, because we see now that he had this flash grenade, and when he threw it, and we see, you know, we see the flash die down, you know, that origami was like dead instantly. So obviously Soma is a very, very fast worker, and that right there I definitely like, because the guy is a beast. But now we see that when Linka and Sakuya were like heading toward their next target, we saw an origami that, you know, like they were not hunting, and we see now that, you know, Linka was like going after it, but Sakuya had to stop him because that right there was not their target. And so right now we see that, you know, sometimes the God Eaters, they even though the origami are like a huge threat to humanity, you know, sometimes they like have to let them go because, you know, they have a certain goal that they must achieve. And so now we see that it was definitely tough for him, but we see now that, you know, they have found one, and like, you know, Sakuya shot it, and she wanted Alisa to kill it because she was the closest. And we see once again Alisa being a bitch, and she you know, ignored the orders. And so now we see we have Linka going in there, you know, trying to kill it, but he could not get a good hit. And we see now that when he was going to get attacked by it, we have, you know, someone coming in there and saving him, and that right there is where he had finished it off. And so right now we see now that obviously, you know, Alisa and Soma, these two are definitely, you know, kind of like above the rest, because right now Linka could not do much. Sakuya is like a shooter, so she cannot get in there and get the core like the others can. And like I said, Kota is definitely useless right now, but hopefully that will change, because I would hate to see someone slow down Unit 1, so I do hope that he will get better, you know, very soon. But now we see that, you know, after Sakuya was like done chewing, you know, Alisa ear off, because obviously Alisa will not change, and she will always be, you know, like kind of in this, you know, bitchy mood till she get closer to them. I do wonder how they will deal with that, but we see that when they were like driving back to the city, you know, they were stopped by these survivors that they're out there in the wild. And to me, I found that, you know, like very impressive that, you know, these people, you know, were like able to survive. But obviously there were a lot more of them, like they said, but sadly they had lost them. But now on their truck, you know, heading back to the city, you know, there was like this one little girl who you could obviously tell was like kind of scared, but Soma here gave her a bottle of water, and that right there got her to open up some, and they were like talking for a bit, and she actually found out that, you know, well, she actually found the God Eaters, you know, to be pretty awesome. But we see now that when they had got back to the city, you know, these are random people, they were sadly not allowed, you know, to actually enter. And we even see now that like Linka here did not like that, and I'm pretty sure that if Linka got his way, he definitely would have let them in there. But we see now that apparently there was some kind of patch test where only people capable of like building, you know, God Arts can actually enter and live there. And we even see now, you know, if you're not a part of that, then you cannot live there. So all these families or all these people, they're either can, you know, to the God Eaters, or obviously, you know, they all can use it in the future. And that right there is surprising, because we do see that there are a ton of people there. So you would think that maybe all of them at least, you know, would be God Eaters, because obviously now, like, they definitely need to work on their home defense. And so we see that, you know, even though Linka was quiet, you know, you could definitely tell what was going on in his mind. So right now, you know, Linka is definitely, you know, very determined to actually complete, this project, because that right there will prevent anyone from like ever getting kicked out again. And we even see now that when those people were actually leaving, that little girl looked back at him and she was saying something, but we have no idea what she said. But I'm imagining that she probably was like thanking him, for like what he did, or at least for like what he tried to do. But overall, a very solid episode. I liked it. Alisa definitely got work on the attitude, and Kota definitely got work on his skills, because right now he is definitely, their like weakest link. But for episode, to me, it was definitely strong. Come back from a week break, and so that probably give maybe an 8 out of 10. But of course, other than you got thoughts on this, and please do not forget to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. And you guys take it easy. I'll see you all next time.